27F, getting doubts about relationship because 27M hasn't proposed yet. Me and my boyfriend have been dating for 3+ years and been living together for 2. Last year he started hinting at the possibility of him proposing soon, and I was extremely excited, as both of us have known since early on in the relationship that we want to spend our lives together. Around this time he jokingly added a date and a ring emoji in his Instagram bio to prank his friends. Time passed and no proposal happened. Then he said that when both of us get our degrees he would propose. We both did and nothing happened. Then he hinted at proposing on my birthday and nothing happened. Now a year has passed since he first mentioned proposing, and a while ago I burst into tears and confessed to him that I felt like a joke that was no longer funny. He still had his bio, prank, and I said that to me it was a constant reminder of something I was excited for, but that wasn't happening. He said he understood and removed it, and said that he still wants to get married but he didn't think it would have to happen immediately. Now he's hinting at proposing during the summer, but by now I am starting to reconsider whether or not it is something I still want after getting my hopes up and then crushed so many times. I have talked to him and he seems to understand my POV, but also feels like I am pressuring him. Any advice on how to move on from this? It blows my mind how many women post about wanting to get married to their partners, but can't seem to actually have an honest conversation with their partners about marriage. If you cannot tell your boyfriend that you want to get engaged in X amount of time, then you should not be entering into something as enormous as a marriage with that person. What is stopping you from proposing to him? If it's because you think he'd say no, then that is yet another reason you should not be getting married to him. Get engaged. Talking. If you want to be married and he isn't doing anything, talk to him and tell him that you don't want a proposal. If he wants to get married to you, then you will think yourself as engaged, and the next day both of you can go and buy a ring. Honestly, at this point I would stop believing the dates. You either walk out of that convo engaged or broken up, but you know where you are. A guy who's serious never hints. He just does it. He's doing this to keep you hanging on, and frankly it's insulting because he's giving you the false idea he wants to marry you. He doesn't. He just like living with you without the papers. I say start making the choice of being with a guy who teases about asking you to marry when he never does, or walking out of the relationship because your time and youth is precious. You've let him know how you feel. That's all you can do. You can either 1. Propose to him, 2. Wait it out, 3. Pick a date that you're unwilling to wait past and then leave if he doesn't propose by then. Up to you. Seems like you've talked this through, so talking isn't really the answer anymore. Pressuring after 3+ years. That weird-ass Insta joke. And teasing you for over a year? I'd give him 6 most max. Then bounce. The fact he is happily taunting you with a marriage proposal tells me he is a bit of a jerk. Marriage should be a joint thing. Not him having all the power and control and you patiently waiting like 1800s maiden. You need to sit and be honest. He either wants to move forward or he doesn't. You should be equal in this decision. You are not a child. If you cannot sit and plan the future as equals, how will you be considered equal in the future? Ah, he's so funny. What a prankster. He do love that eternal hope in your eyes though. I don't think he wants to marry you and is just stringing you along. My husband used to dangle the "getting married" comment but never took the leap. I finally told him that don't bother bringing it up if he wasn't serious, and if and when he did propose, I may or may not want to. He was so afraid of losing me. He proposed within months. We lived together for 9 years prior to marriage, so it wasn't as if I was rushing him. He knows you want to be engaged, married. If he wanted to propose, get married, he would have. Instead, he made a year-long joke of your want to be engaged. An adult with reservations when it comes to marriage would have talked to you like an adult. Not make a year-long joke at your expense. He's the boy who cried wolf. You deserve a man. Move on and don't look back. This is not going to get better. I think what she was strongly saying is that she is not wanting empty promises any longer and that she is tired of waiting. With this in mind, she has to look at what she wants to do about the situation and what is best for her future. She has the option to do any one of the responses that have been presented by those that have replied. My sister was in the same situation as you. But you know what she did? She sat him down and had a serious conversation about the future. She pretty much told him, if you don't propose by the end of the year, then we're done. That was 2 years ago and they just got married last month. If you cannot tell him what you want now, it'll never happen. He doesn't want to marry you. If he wanted to, he would. I stayed with my ex for 8 years, all while he reassured me about a shared future but never proposed. I proposed to him and within a couple months it was clear he didn't want to marry me. Proposing to the man doesn't fix anything, but it would reveal his feelings. Good luck. His actions speak louder than words. He has not made the move, and likely never will. Time to say goodbye and move on. Your boyfriend is a prankster. Don't judge his words. Judge his actions. He doesn't want to propose. If he doesn't propose by end of summer, then leave. You should have explained sooner that you were wanting a proposal by a certain time. And he also shouldn't have been breadcrumbing. You both need to work on your communication skills. However, he's now said that he has plans to propose this summer. And you've stated you want to be engaged. If he says he's made plans and has asked for a ring size etc. but still does nothing, then he is never going to. The best thing to do at that point is accept that you don't want the same thing. Cut your losses. And have this talk sooner and very explicitly with your next partner. He says you're pressuring him even though he's hinted or said multiple times he'd do it. What a baby. Have a talk about being married. Not about proposing but about potentially tying your futures together. Talk about where you might live. If you want kids. How you want to raise them. Who's going to stay home and raise them or if they'll go to daycare. Who's going to potentially sacrifice their career for a few years to raise kids. Then if you're still on the same page, bloody well propose to him. I know this guy because I've been this guy. Regrettably, if I had to guess, anytime you bring it up he gives you just a tiny inch. Says he wants to. Doubles down. And doubles down hard. Maybe says you guys will go look at rings or do some online looking at some of the bigger stores to see what style you would like. Whatever it is. And for a second you get some hope and you drop it. But then nothing changes. And it's a never-ending cycle. I can't tell you what's going on in his head. But when I did this exact same thing to my ex, I did it because I was sure I did not want to get married at that moment. Not necessarily meaning I didn't want to marry her, but just not the right time for me. It was incredibly selfish of me to do and I do regret not ending it sooner. All this to say, you have decided that now is your timing. You need to let him know. And either your timings match, or they don't. Or maybe he reveals he doesn't want to marry you. But you need an answer on why it hasn't happened yet. And if it's in the near future, don't let him rob you of your time out of his own selfishness.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.